On December 26th, there's a full moon in Cancer. Also, Mercury, the planet of communication, and Mars, the planet of action, are coming together in Sagittarius to give you energy to do something important. What does that mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we were talking about the full moon. It's at 4 degrees of Cancer. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to go sign by sign. So a full moon, any full moon, is the culmination of energy. So if you think of the party, all the time leading up to the full moon, that 2 weeks between the new moon and the full moon, is all about the preparation. So you had the idea, and then you cleaned the house, and you invited the guests, and you made the hors d'oeuvres. And the full moon is the party itself, the culmination of the energies. So from a business standpoint, this would be like launching the product, or sending out your resume, or even doing the interview. For a relationship, this would be the first date, or maybe if you're dating, taking your sweetheart someplace and talking about the future, like getting engaged or living together. And this is the last full moon of the year, so it has special significance. A Cancer full moon means that the sun is in Capricorn, and Capricorn wants to have some sort of recognition of progress. And so this is a time to take a look back and see what you have done over the course of the year to make progress towards your goals. And it's important to remember that it's not necessary that you have achieved your final goal at this point. It's just this is a time to look back over the course of the year and see what progress you've made. You know, there's this marvelous book called The Alchemist. I'll put a link in the description. And in this book, the hero, Santiago, is traveling from Spain all the way to the Great Pyramids of Egypt. And he gets about 2 hours into the journey, 2 hours by boat, and he gets stuck. And he is stuck for an entire year. And so he could have said, I'm stuck and I've wasted a whole year, but instead he decides to look at it as I'm 2 hours closer to my destination. And so he's not thinking about how long it took him to travel those 2 hours. He is thinking, I'm making progress. So you may be very happy with the progress you've made over this year, or you may be dissatisfied with it. But whichever it is, by doing the assessment, then you can make good decisions about what you're going to do in the future. Then on December 27th, Mercury, which is moving backwards in retrograde motion, is going to run into Mars, which is moving forward, and they're going to collide in Sagittarius. And by collide, I mean an astrological collision, not an astronomical collision. So this is where we're combining the energy of thinking and communication with action. And so if you're making progress, this is a wonderful energy for really buckling down and getting stuff done. It is that, you know, you've designed your plan and now you can just take action and check things off of your list. If, on the other hand, you are dissatisfied with your progress, you may find this energy quite irritating, and it could come out in arguments or aggressive driving or picking a fight with someone. And so that would be a key that you're not doing the things that you really, your heart, your path is suggesting. And so looking at how you feel on the 27th, are you jumping in and finding the next thing to do? Or are you angry that other people seem to be slowing you down or in your way? So one of the best uses of this energy is to make a detailed plan where you can actually start to check off different steps that day. And so that would be taking your plan and breaking it down into the next couple of steps you're going to do, which might be a phone call or an email, or even just, you start to write your dissertation or you start to build a piece of furniture. You take some sort of physical action in the world, and this helps set that energy as positive and helps you move forward. And because this is happening on the full moon, this energy, while it's going to pass in that moment, is going to remain strong for all of us over a 2-week period. And so that means that we're going to be able to carry that momentum going forward. So over the next 2 weeks, assess how far you've come, look and see if you're pointed in the right direction, take some sort of action, and remember to enjoy the party. All right, in this video, we are doing tropical Western astrology. It's a good idea to listen to your rising sign, as that's going to tell you more about what's happening to you. If you don't know your rising sign, you can send me your birth information and I'll send you a PDF of your chart. There's a link in the description. If you want to know more about what's coming up for you over the next year, I do readings. There is a link in the description. And finally, my video course, Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart, is available. There's a link in the description, of course. I want to say, though, that this course is priced very low at this time. This price will be going up. So if you are at all interested in it, please check it out. The link is in the description. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you're doing this full moon, lighting up your house of home and family. This is right at the base of your chart. And this is really about, how you're nurturing others in your life and how you're nurturing yourself. And so you may be doing some sort of celebration with your family, or maybe this is the family you've created. This is your friends, your spiritual family. And so if you think about the most cherished person in your life, the one you care about the most, this full moon is talking about loving yourself in that way. It is about taking care of yourself and nurturing yourself as though you are as cherished as this person you care about. And so that is kind of this culmination of energy, this last full moon of the year, to say, congratulations to yourself. This is what you've accomplished. This is what you've done, and to celebrate you. Now, the Mars-Mercury conjunction is happening in your house of education, travel, legal matters, but also your spiritual understanding, your beliefs and philosophy. And your Aries, which is fire, and this is a fire conjunction. And so this is like one little match can set you moving, which is wonderful. So, but if the energy feels to you like it's blocked, if you feel, like we talked about in the opening, like you've taken such small steps over a long period of time, you can feel quite frustrated, and you can think that it's due to the slow people ahead of you, but that's not really true, because you can go around slow people. So look at what you want to do and see if you can't get that plan together so that some sort of action can be taken at the height of this energy. Even this fits a small action, and this would be around your education. So maybe getting the application to go back to school, or getting some work done on your dissertation, or publishing something. This could be, working on a legal matter, just even reading over some paperwork so you can understand what's going on with this. Or if this is travel, if you want to go somewhere, maybe this is just putting that destination up on your bulletin board with, this is the time of year I want to go, this is the dates I want to go. So getting some things started. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Mars is not making an aspect to the sun, there's so much energy at the top of your chart. You're very noticeable at this time. And so it's necessary, though, sometimes to slow down long enough to let somebody else catch up. And so ask your friends, ask your family if they're noticing an opportunity that you're missing, or what you could do to get more opportunities when it comes to love. And even though this energy is not lining up perfectly and the date could happen outside the 2-week period, again, at least it gets that fire going and you move that extra few steps in the right direction. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mars is making a semi-sextile to Venus. What it means is that the thing that is irritating the two of you is not really what you think it is. I mean, you might feel irritated that they put their dishes in this spot rather than that spot, but what it really boils down to maybe is respect. Or you feel like they're being careless or not putting you first, or there's something that is underneath. And so you may have to dig a little bit to see what you're really upset about. But there is a point of irritation that could be cleared up during this 2-week period if you can unravel it. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the Venus, which is right at the end of the house of investments and credit and debt and insurance. And so this may be that you are finishing up some things for the year. Maybe there are normal, annual things that you do, moving money into your retirement savings or looking at insurance or things like that. So it looks like it's good energy to clean up, finish up, get things, put away and ready for the new year. Now, when it comes to your investments or money derived from business, Venus is making a great sextile to Pluto. Now, a sextile energy means that you need to initiate some sort of action and then something positive can happen. And because these planets are high up in your chart, this could mean something about, publishing something or putting something out in the world, marketing, being noticed. And so you have good energy over the next 2 weeks for making more money than usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is not making an aspect to Uranus. However, it is making an out of sign square to Saturn, which is, there's a chance of getting a raise, but it may be smaller than you're expecting unless you're negotiating for a new job. I think if you're negotiating for a new job because the sun is quite elevated in your chart, I think you could do quite well. But if you are in your current job and wanting a raise, you might want to wait until this energy lines up better. Or it's possible they're just going to say, wait till the new year because, they're on a calendar system or something. So just try to be patient with that. Okay, Taurus, you're doing this full moon, lighting up your area of communication and thinking process. This is also siblings, neighbors, as well as your vehicle. Now, the thinking process is quite interesting because this would indicate that you are already sending out loving thoughts to those around you. And maybe those are family members or friends or neighbors, and that you are compassionate and you give people the space they need, etc. Are you doing that for yourself? That is the question here. And so this full moon is lighting up that area to remind you to be loving to yourself, to be kind to yourself. Because honestly, being kind to yourself is much more motivating than being hard on yourself. You're going to get more done. You're going to be more productive overall if you show yourself love and compassion. And then, of course, this full moon also lights up any sort of opportunities to clear up problems with siblings or neighbors. This also gives you a chance to give your vehicle a little tender, loving care. So those are all good things. Now, the Mercury-Mars conjunction is happening in your house of investments, credit, and debt. And so this is where maybe you're going to be learning a new system or trying out some new investments, or maybe just getting together the plan to get more money into long-term savings for your retirement, or focusing on what you learned over the course of the year so you can apply good decision-making skills when it comes to your money. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mercury. So that's a little bit irritating. And it's so interesting because this is almost like, because they slightly irritate you, they get your attention. And then that kind of turns into interest, and then something can move forward. So it's either that you're slightly irritating them or they're slightly irritating you, but it's just enough so that a spark is happening. It's interesting that when we think of how you would start a fire, it is the friction, of the match on the, sandpaper, or if you were using the very old-fashioned method of the sticks, you're doing friction, and that creates the heat, which creates the spark. That's what we're doing here. There's a little bit of friction, and that could create some interest. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making a sextile to Pluto. So the two of you have an opportunity to share something important, especially from an intellectual or philosophical side. It's like the two of you are coming to agreement on an important decision. This is an opportunity, as sextile means you have to do a little bit of effort up front, but maybe it's that you agree that you're going to travel more, or you agree that you're going to settle a lawsuit, or that you're both going to study something together. So it feels like the two of you are coming together with harmony, but you need to initiate it and say, let's talk about this. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mercury, which is conjunct Mars right now, and that means action is needed. And this is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is about expansion and thinking big and long-term pictures. And so not maybe so detail-oriented, and maybe not as quiet or stable in energy as you're normally used to. This may feel like it's a step outside your comfort zone, but there is going to be someone who can answer questions or help, because Mercury is communication and Mars is action. And so those are coming together. So you could find someone who is knowledgeable about what it is that you want to learn, and they can help you answer your questions. Now, when it comes to money from investments or from business, even though Mercury is not making an aspect with Jupiter, Mercury is in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. So you have a hidden connection there. And so these hidden money connections can be really helpful. The Jupiter is in your own sign of Taurus, and then that connects to the Venus, and the Venus is making a semi-sextile to the Mercury. So again, we have all of these like hidden connections. So it feels like the money is there. It's not as obvious. It's not like somebody just phoning you up and saying, I want to buy everything in your catalog. There's a little bit of, there's some twists and turns in this, but if you look for it, you can find it. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, Mercury's making an exact square to Neptune, and this is the second square. You're going to get one more when Mercury goes direct. So this is your second chance of asking for a raise, or maybe you've already started the process and now they're saying, yes, we're going to get that meeting together. And so you've got this time that is approaching where you're really in a very good spot for getting a raise. Now, that is that, again, it may not come until that third hit, and that's okay, because you're getting the process started. And so make sure that if you're looking for a raise, that you are talking to someone about this. Okay, Gemini, you're doing this full moon in your house of money and possessions, also your sense of deserving and self-worth. And so, of course, this is a full moon in Cancer, and Cancer is about love and nurturing. And so this is about loving and nurturing your finances. And so I know that sounds funny, but it is about caring enough to write down what you're spending. It's about caring enough to look at your investments, to open your statements. It is to look at the possessions that you have, and, instead of keeping something for a special occasion, pulling it out and using it, or taking things that have been passed down to you, that are from your ancestors, and putting them in a place of honor. And then this is about nurturing and helping grow your sense of deserving. And the sense of deserving, oftentimes is connected to the actions that we take. And so as you take good actions and you're a good steward of your money, then you inside you say, I deserve more, and then more comes to you. So that's what this full moon is for you, for this time. Now, when it comes to the Mercury-Mars conjunction, that's happening in your house of relationships, partnerships, and collaborations. And so initially, you might feel a little short with people. You might feel like, I sent you an email, why aren't you responding? Or, why can't we move this faster? When I'm ready, why aren't you ready? And yet, it also could be the two of you come together in perfect sync. you're ready, they're ready, and you can just run with this. So if you find that you're not in sync, go on to the next person. And I know that's hard in a love relationship, but if it's about a collaboration or something in business, just move on to the next door. So, but there is a really good chance that the two of you are going to just join hand in hand and move forward on something important. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mercury. That's interesting energy because semi-sextile is just slightly irritating. There's a little bit of friction. And some of that friction that I'm feeling is that you're having a little trouble maybe getting out into social situations. And that could be due to weather, or you're very busy, or you just don't really want to go. But if you can cross that hurdle, you could meet somebody because you do have that Mercury-Mars conjunction in your house of relationships. So there is some really interesting energy here, but there's a little bit of friction. There's kind of like the door's not opening that easily, and you got to give it a little shove. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, even though Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter, you have Mercury in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. So you have a hidden connection there. And Mars is sitting there, and those two are sitting together. And this means, as I was saying before, you have an opportunity to really join with your partner on something that you want to do where you're philosophically or spiritually in alignment. And so you want to discover what that is, how they stand on things like child rearing or keeping a budget or travel or any of those things, so that you can find where you're aligned, because the two of you could just move forward like a rocket ship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that moon, which is sitting in your house of money. Now, it's really interesting energy because the moon, it grows and it shrinks. And right now, it's at its biggest, and then it's going to start to shrink. And so there can be this idea of, like money comes in and that's great, but now the money is going out again. Now, this moon is approaching that sextile to Jupiter in your house of spirituality and magic and feng shui. And so that's what I would recommend for you is, during the height of this energy, to look at what you can do on a spiritual level to welcome in the money into your life. And that might mean that you're, replacing your feng shui cures to give them more energy, or using herbs or candles and doing a meditation, or doing affirmations or a visualization. But those sort of things are very strong for you during this period. Now, when it comes to money from business or money from investments, you're looking pretty good. The moon is making a trine to Saturn, and you've got this, the full moon is lighting up those money houses. So you have opportunities to make more money than usual. With a trine, things can happen quite naturally. That might mean that, you're getting more customers coming in, or you're getting some publicity. So, but if you give it a little push, it can go even farther. So, but you do look like you are making more money than usual over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money from career, so that would be like a paycheck, the moon's not making an aspect with Mars. So the energy here is not connecting. And quite honestly, what it looks like is that your boss is on vacation, or you're on vacation, or the whole place is on hiatus. And so that's where there's not really a connection. If you're looking for a new job, that's going to be connected to that Saturn we were just talking about right at the top of your chart. That energy is outstanding. And so you want to negotiate for a higher salary or extra perks or both. So, but if you're just asking for a regular raise, you need to wait until this energy lines up, which it will do in the new year. Okay, Cancer, this is your full moon. It's a full moon in Cancer, and this means it's particularly important for you to do that assessment of what's been happening, because this is your beginning of your harvest period. And so you want to see about the preparations you've made and what you can launch at this time, and not just in this 2-week period, but actually for the next few months, because this is a time where it's kind of a culmination of all the energies you've been doing over the last 6 months. And so you do want to look and see, what you've been working on, etc. And you want to look at what you've done with very, practical eyes, but compassionate eyes, kind eyes, because, we all do our best every single day. We really try. And so sometimes, especially for you, you can get these standards that are so high that you ask yourself, to try to reach. And I think it's good to have a stretch goal, but after a while, you get tired of stretching. And so look at what you've been doing and assess with compassion. Now, Mercury and Mars are conjunct in your house of daily routines, health and well-being. And so doing things on a daily basis that help your health and well-being, like meditation and eating right, and, doing things to put good stress into your life. I know it sounds funny, but I'm a big believer that some stress in our life can make us alert and excited about life, and trying to mitigate negative stress in your life. And that is to worry about the past or worry about things outside of our control. So the Mars Mercury is really asking you to have a plan now for the things that you're going to do going forward, so that you can see that, okay, on a daily basis, I'm going to do these few things, and that will add up incrementally. And so things like exercise or eating right, they pay off over time. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's making an inconjunct to Pluto. And it's interesting because you have a very strong couple of houses of relationship this time. The inconjunct suggests that you make an adjustment. So if you're looking for new love and you haven't found what you're looking for, it's time to make an adjustment. Venus is going through this house, and so that can cause you to feel like, I want what I want. I don't want to change. But maybe this is not so much about changing your standards or changing what it is that you like, but maybe changing how you're looking for this person, or how you are visualizing the meeting that you're going to have, that initial meeting. So this is the kind of changes that you could make, and that could open up some possibilities for you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making a trine to Saturn, and your relationship houses are lit up. And so this is a really good time for you to do things together as a couple, because you can strengthen the relationship, you can have a good time, you can feel, really connected together. So this is where, this is a time when you do want to focus on your partner, because you're going to reap some rewards. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the sun, which is sitting in your house of relationships, partnerships, collaborations, connections, mentors. And so this is that old, the more people you meet, the more money you can make. And so you want to make a lot of connections, and that is reach out to people through social media, or go back through your list of, people you used to work with and see what they're doing. Go out on social media like Facebook and, make contacts. So because the more connections, the connections just ripple out there, because as you reach out to someone, you make a ripple in the universe, and that then other people start thinking about you and contacting you, and it builds and builds. Now, when it comes to money from investments or from your business, the sun's making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus. So there's some sort of hurdle that you have to go over, and when you do, you get a prize. So you have to think of what it is that maybe you've been putting off. Maybe it sounds difficult. Maybe it sounds like something you've been procrastinating on. And if you can clear that hurdle, then the rewards are there. So that's what to focus on. First, find the hurdle and then clear it. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, even though the Venus is not making an aspect with the sun, you have some great aspects for collaboration and connection with others. And so I'm thinking that it's good to feel out where your boss is on this whole topic. Don't go in and demand a meeting or demand a raise, but instead kind of see, what's happening in the company in general, be empathetic about their position, and see if you can get them to be working for you. So by, planting some seeds for just a long-term look at your financial situation or your work situation, I guess would be more accurate. Okay, Leo, you're doing this full moon lighting up your house of spirituality and also your shadow side, your inner, your subconscious, the parts of you that are beneath the surface. And so this might be a time where you're not going to the party, where you're withdrawing. And in that, you get to meditate on where you are and kind of look within. And sometimes that can be done very directly through a meditation, through journaling, asking yourself questions. Sometimes it is done through doing something more distracting, such as, watching TV, but as you're watching TV, watch what you're choosing. Why are you choosing those things? Are you choosing things that remind you of the past or things that you have loved in the past? Are you attracted to a particular genre? Is there a particular message that you're searching for? Or do something where through what you're doing, the messages can come out, and that would be such as art or automatic writing or doodling or, looking at, again, what you're drawn to, what you're drawing and what you're drawn to, and see, are you doing, like little houses, like a person who doodles little houses or is looking for home, or if you are doodling maybe that Zentangle type of thing, well, maybe you're looking at the details or how all the pieces fit together. So give yourself those sort of questions and thoughts, and I think you're going to uncover what this full moon is about for you. Now, when it comes to that Mercury-Mars conjunction, that is in your house of creativity and self-expression and having fun. So again, this comes back to, maybe finding some sort of art to do. And this is even if you don't feel artistic. I just heard somebody say that they didn't feel that they were artistic in any shape or form. And, when we talked about it, it was actually that her creativity was coming out in lots of different ways. And so it doesn't have to be, just playing the cello or painting a masterpiece. There's all kinds of ways to be creative. And so looking at what you can do to express yourself, but doing it in a more creative way, or where can you take a little bit of a risk? And maybe that's through creativity, of showing your art to the world or singing in public or something like that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun's making a trine to Jupiter, and that's where the Mercury-Mars is sitting. And so this is a really good time to meet somebody new. And so, find ways where you can be in groups of people, where you can meet people you haven't met, go to meetup groups or events or parties, have friends or family fix you up. This is a really opportune time for you. And I'm hearing somebody ask me, well, why meet somebody on the full moon? Wouldn't that be more of a new moon activity? Well, there is the idea, though, that you have prepared to meet this person. And so that is that you have looked at your own relationship issues. You have, made your profile. Maybe you have done some things about, getting an outfit together, how you present yourself in the world. So all of that preparation could be culminated with meeting the person, therefore a full moon activity. It is also quite possible that a person could meet somebody on the new moon, because that would be a new beginning. So now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the sun's making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus, which does indicate that there's good things ahead, but there's a hurdle in between. There is something that you have to do, something you have to work out, or, maybe talk about the elephant in the room. And once that's done, then things are much, much better than you expected. So but it is necessary for you to handle this responsibility or this issue. And when you do, then things get better. Now, it's also possible that this is something that you're working out yourself, that once you realize what this issue is, that then you can find a different way of looking at it or understand your partner better. But, because this is relationship energy, it's probably something you have to discuss with them. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury, which is retrograde, moving back to hit Mars in your house of risk-taking and creative expression. And so this is looking at maybe risks that you passed up before, going for a new job or expanding your business or starting a business. And it's time to look at those again and see if you can get those going. You'll have one more chance of this when Mercury goes direct. And again, it's going to go direct through this house of yours. And so you will have a chance again, but why not take it now? And so looking at where you can take a risk, and we're not talking about, like jumping off a cliff or something. We're talking about a calculated risk that you've thought through, but is outside your comfort zone. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury is making a square to Neptune. So there are profits to be taken. Action is needed. You've got Saturn in that house, and Saturn's going to be there for a long time. And that means do things correctly, do them properly, get it, written in a spreadsheet, or get the back office, solid so that everything's automated, but take the steps necessary so that you can go in and scoop up the profits. And then when it comes to money derived from career, and that would be like a paycheck, of course, Mercury is part of the Mercury-Mars connection. And so this is a fabulous time to go to your supervisor and say, I want to be on the track for promotion and more money. How do I do it? Where do I need to push? Where do I need to take the risks? And I think that your supervisor will be forthcoming. And if they say you can't do it here, then it's time to move on. Okay, Virgo, you are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of friendships, community, organizations. Also, it's the future and technology and your hopes and wishes. And so this is where you're looking back over, these last months and saying, and the last year, and saying, okay, where have I come? What have I done? And specifically, what's your group of friendships like? Is your friends group expanding? Are you finding it difficult to make friends? And if that's the case, maybe pushing at this time to go to events and go to clubs or groups, organizations, so you can meet more people who are interested in the things that you are. And this may mean pushing yourself in technology also. And I get it. Sometimes we have this idea of, like I'm taking a stand against, too much social media or where technology is going, but we still have to operate in the world. And so maybe slicing out the parts that are useful to you and not doing the rest, maybe that is the way to do it. And then learning those slices, learning those parts so that you can feel confident about connecting to others through technology. Where you're doing the Mercury-Mars is in your area of home and family. And so that includes the dwelling itself. And so this might be a time to look at how your personal environment is supporting you. That's the basis of Feng Shui. Feng Shui is about setting up your environment to support your goals. And, so sometimes I would hear people say, like, I really want to do my art, or I really want to do my music. But when I walked into their house, all there was a giant TV screen. And so the message for everybody in the house is TV is the most important thing. Whereas if instead it was an easel with the art ready to go or the musical instruments on the wall, then that would have been the most important. And then it's more likely that those activities happen. And so that can be what you're working on now. Of course, this is also about family and getting together with family and expanding your mind through all of the things that your family has experienced. If they've done something, then you get to hear about it, and through that, can't remember the term, vicariously, living vicariously through them, so that they live vicariously through you and you through them, and so you expand your world that way. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Mercury's not making an aspect with Saturn, this is where the full moon is. So, the full moon is up in your house of friendships. The sun is down, lighting up your house of romance. So there are definite possibilities. Maybe you're not noticing, and the person is, knocking on your door, and you have to say, okay, is somebody knocking? Open the door, say yes to the date. So it might be a situation like that, but this also may be that it just takes a little bit of focus to get out of the house, since you're doing so much energy around home and family. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's making a square to Neptune, and so there's definite energy going on. Now, a square can be somewhat contentious, and you've got Saturn right on that house cusp, and so I'm wondering if there's not something that you need to work out with your partner. And as you do, then there is definite progress. The issue around a square sometimes is that it is a win-lose situation. And so you need to find a way that it can be win-win, not that you're victorious and so they're in this lower position or vice versa, but find a way that there can be some sort of compromise at the end of the battle, or at least a way for the person to save face. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the Venus, which is just on the edge of leaving your house of ideas and contracts and agreements and just knowledge in general. So this is your last moments to collect together the information that you need to make a decision to go forward, or to look over contracts, or to get some paperwork done. Maybe you're writing sales copy right now, or you're getting your own records all in order. So you have this 2-week period to get that done. So, and that is to process all the things you've been doing up until this point. Make sure that this is all together, so then you can go forward. Now, when it comes to money from business or from your investments, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mars. So there is some money to be made. Maybe it's not the biggest money out there. Maybe it's just a little bit. Maybe it's shaving off some percentage of the interest that you're paying or the fees you're paying. But there's something where you can tighten up the ship a little bit and actually make some more money, but it is, in the details. And so looking through the details to see, maybe there's an app that you pay for twice because you have 2 apps and they're too similar or something like that. So look for the small things. That's where the win is. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and so that would be like a paycheck, even though Venus is not making an aspect with the moon is in that house. It's lit up. And so this is something that is probably it's time to address. Now, because there's no aspect, it'll probably get pushed to the next cycle. And, the new year's so close. And so they'll just say, hey, talk to us in January. So, and that's okay. You're just going to mention it and plant a seed, or even just do a visualization of coming together and talking about it to move this forward. Okay, Libra, you're doing this full moon right at the top of your chart. This means you are very noticeable right now. Your reputation is, people are seeing you. And so what you do affects your reputation. It reflects your social standing. So this is kind of like you have to be on your best behavior, but you're Libra, so you usually are. And this is also about your career, and so that's lit up. And so it may be that you are privy to information about where your company is heading or where the industry itself is going, and so pay attention to that. This would be the time where maybe you have worked for a while, maybe much longer than a year, maybe it's been multiple years, and you feel that you've reached the peak or the pinnacle of where you can go in this company. And so you have to start looking around at what else you can do, or maybe you're just bored. And so you're at that point where you're going to wind down this career over months or years, and so that you can move into something else. So this is a kind of a meditative time where you're looking at that, but you also want to be aware that you are very visible right now. So when you're doing things, know that it's going to get out. So do the right thing. Now, when it comes to the Mercury-Mars conjunction, that is happening in your area of thinking process, information, as well as paperwork and, things around your vehicle, etc. So, but one of the things that this is talking about is if you are trying to learn something new, this is where you should buckle down and see how much information that you can get. I'm always so happy about having access to the internet, because when I was growing up, when I wanted to know something, I had to wait for the library to open. And I can't tell you how many nights I was just so wanted to be able to get that information, and I had to wait till 10 a.m. the next day. And so it's such a blessing to have access to so much information. And there's so many generous people out there who have done free tutorials on every single topic out there. That we live in such an abundant age when it comes to information. And so, if you want to learn something, if you've been meaning to learn something, now's the time to set up a plan and start working on it. I think that this gives you that opportunity to set something in motion here. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Uranus. I was going to check. Venus is making a square to Saturn, though. So there is some energy here, but it's almost like people are approaching you, and you might feel like you are judgmental, or that you need to be discerning about who is approaching. And so it does look like if you're pursuing, you're not finding. But if you will go to the center of the room, you could attract people to you like moths to the flame. And then you say, yeah, but I don't want a moth. And so that's where the discerning part comes in. So this is a time to be in social situations, meet a lot of people, and then you can start to see, okay, who am I attracting and how am I presenting myself when I am meeting new people? Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mars. And so there's some little tiny thing that if you can solve that now, the relationship gets better, and that little thing doesn't grow into a big thing. So if there's something that's irritating you about something your partner does, this is the time to address it. Address it gently, address it through love, address it with a solution. And don't make them come up with a solution that's going to please you. You can tell them, this is what I'd like to see happen. And that can help your relationship a great deal. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Pluto as usual, but also that Mars, which is conjunct Mercury in that house of information. And so some of this is, there's a desire to make more money. And then you might say, but how? How do I invest? How do I go about building a website? How do I start a business? This is where you tap into that Mercury-Mars conjunction and find the tutorials that you need. And, again, like there can be a lot that you glean from free information that's out there. So video courses are also available out there. I do video courses. And so, I want to say, give a shout out to those. Those can be great because you get all of the information at once, and you can, go through at your own pace. So whichever you like to do, if you like to, bounce around and pull out the information you need, or if you need a focused curriculum, there are opportunities for that. And that is the thing that's going to lead you to money. Because the thing that you may be saying to yourself is, I don't know how to do such and such. That's the hurdle. That's the thing that this Mercury-Mars is trying to help you with. Now, when it comes to money from business or investments, Venus is making a sextile to Pluto. So there is an opportunity. Sextiles require some sort of action. And so open your statements, get into the website, call your broker, find out what it is that you need to do. Once you get it started, then it just moves along by itself, which is great. So you have an opportunity to make more money than usual over the next 2 weeks. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, I had to check, the sun is making a semi-sextile to Pluto. So there is an opportunity to get some sort of small raise or small recognition. If you want something larger, you may want to wait until this energy lines up better, which it will after the new year. But right now, if it's just that you need a small perk, if you need something, like you need a better chair or a more ergonomic keyboard or something like that, then that is the type of thing you can ask for and get at this time. Okay, Scorpio, you are doing this full moon lighting up your house of spiritual beliefs, philosophy, as well as travel, legal matters, and education. So it's quite possible that you're traveling during this time, or maybe you're recognizing that you really want to travel in the future. And so this may be the time that you start to get everything in order for some big trip, next year down the road. So this may also be something where you're dealing with your education. Maybe you're on break right now and you're, looking back at the past to say, what did you accomplish? How did you study? Is there something different you could do? And celebrating the wins that you've had in your education. Or with a legal matter, this may be the time where that legal matter is coming to an end, or that you are figuring out how to finish the legal matter. When it comes to philosophy and what you believe, it's very important to recognize how your beliefs are affecting your experience, and then challenging those beliefs, especially if you adopted them really early in your life, before you were able to really challenge them. So to challenge them, you might ask yourself, is this true? And then the second question is this helpful? And if you get a yes to both of those, then you keep the belief. But if you can look at it and say, all right, it may be true, but it's not helpful, is there a different way to look at it? Or is it really true? Maybe it's not really true. Maybe it's a blanket statement that you're making that could easily, have holes poked into it. So these are the types of things that you're looking at with this full moon. Now, the Mercury-Mars conjunction is happening in your house of money. And that means that all of this activity that we're seeing in this knowledge and information, etc., is all around making more money, or taking the money that you have and allocating it to the right places, or looking at the abundance of stuff that you have and deciding, what you need and what you don't need. So there are some generally there's good energy right now for you for making money. And so that means getting the information that you need and the plan together so that you can move forward. So looking at what you've done in the past and saying, all right, this is how far I've come. What do I want to change? And then you are ready to launch for the new year. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Neptune's making a sextile to Pluto. And right now you're at that last little bit, and it'll be on and off next year, where they're in harmonious signs. So Pluto is in an earth sign and Neptune's in a water sign. And, water feeds the earth. So this is considered harmonious. When Pluto goes into Aquarius, you're going to be doing an air and water thing, which is more about blowing bubbles, etc. And that means that you'll have to do different things to connect to the person that you're looking for. So take advantage of this time now by accepting invitations and, going out and meeting new people, because right now you have some harmonious energy for meeting someone new. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making a sextile to Pluto. That's very nice energy. That means that things can be worked out, that you can come together and do some fun things. It may be that you have to initiate them because you're doing the sextile. But the your partner could say, yes, I really want to do that, and then harmony happens. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Jupiter, which is in your house of connections and relationships and partnerships and collaborations. And the Mercury and Mars that are very active in your house of money are in Sagittarius, which is ruled by that Jupiter. So you have a very strong connection between the people that you meet and the money you make. So therefore, the more people you meet, the more money you can make. That's fantastic. That also means you can set up business partnerships or find an influencer. And so doing things like direct messages, send out information about what you're doing, what you're working on, say Happy New Year to people, reconnect with people from your past as well, because Mercury is retrograde, so you can reach back into your past to people that you used to work with or you went to school with and see what they're up to. So these are the ways that you can bring in more money. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, even though Mercury's not making a direct aspect to Jupiter, as I just said, Mercury's in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. And so you have a secret connection. And so it is possible for you to get more money from these different sources. Now, you may have to kind of look underneath. You may have to, pay some attention to it in particular to see a different way of making money. And, maybe that is, through a dividend versus just the stock going up, or maybe the dividend's not strong, but the stock is rising, or, maybe in your business, maybe there's an upsell you can do. So you do show some good energy here for making more money, especially over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and so that would be like a paycheck, the connection, again, between Mercury and Jupiter is strong. And so the Jupiter being in that house of relationships and collaborations says to go to your supervisor and empathize with their situation and, understand where their limitations are in giving you a raise and see if you can get a meeting so that the two of you can work together to get you what you're looking for. This is all possible during this time. The nice thing is this is going to even line up better in the future. So you might just set up a meeting, and then in the months to come, when this does line up better, then you'll have the yes that you're looking for. Okay, Sagittarius, you are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of power, control, and resources from others. This is the house where you can connect with people on a very intimate level. And yes, that's intimate physically, but it also can be intimate in the sense that they know your checking account balance. And so this is where you look at the people in your life and you decide who you want to be closer to, maybe with some sort of business collaboration or a personal relationship where you're combining finances as well as, households or yourselves. So this is also about power and control. And so recognizing where you feel that you have power, what you do want to control, what is outside of your control, and looking at the resources that you do get from everyone and, honoring that and saying, wow, look at the abundance that I do have. Because as you put your attention on what you are receiving from others, that can expand. Now, that Mercury-Mars conjunction is happening in your own sign of Sagittarius, and it's in your house of physical expression. So that means you might have enough energy that you're bouncing off the walls. You already have a lot of energy, and so what's really needed is a little bit of adventure in your life. You've got to step outside your comfort zone so that you are challenged intellectually and spiritually and emotionally, and that's what you can use this energy for. Now, you could also do something very physical, like running a marathon, although this would be an interesting time of year for that, or, camping in the snow or something like that. But even if you just go to the next town and go to a museum or take a challenging class, that's the type of thing where you're outside of your comfort zone and you're learning something new, and there's a little bit of an adventure, there's something different that you're doing. That's what this Mercury Mars is for. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Mars is not making an aspect with Jupiter, Mars is in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, so you have a hidden connection. So there may be some sort of secret admirer thing happening. Jupiter's in your house of work and coworkers, so this may be somebody connected to your job, and there may be some rules against fraternization, and so maybe that is it. Or there's just someone that you admire, but that maybe one or both of you are still in relationships, and so your mind is going there, but the rest of you is waiting. So, but there are some possibilities if you are looking for new love. And then when it comes to existing love relationships, we have a similar situation because Mercury is in Sagittarius. And even though it's not making an aspect to the Jupiter in Taurus, the Mercury in Sag is ruled by that Jupiter. So therefore, again, a hidden connection. And so, but from an existing love relationship, maybe that is kind of sneaking off to spend a little time with your sweetheart outside of your normal routine, to kind of break free of the normal routine and do something just the two of you, where the kids are off doing something else. And I know that can be really hard with, usually kids are off during this time because, they haven't quite gotten back to school, or they're off for the holidays, etc. So but if you can have some private time with your sweetheart, you can strengthen your love relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the Saturn, which is right at the base of your chart, which talks about what you learned about money when you were growing up. And the sun has gone into that house, lighting up your house of money, which is then you looking at your financial situation from a standpoint of what your identity is. So when we combine these two things, what we have is you looking at your identity and saying, this is who I am, and maybe challenging some of the things you were taught when you were young about finances. This can be that you are looking at the sense of deserving and seeing that maybe you do deserve more. Because oftentimes we set a limit on what we can make by what we think we deserve. And so this could be the thing that you challenge, the breakthrough that you have that suddenly causes your money to expand. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, not only do you have the full moon there, but the moon is making a trine to Saturn. So you have very good energy for making more money over this next 2 weeks. Now, with a trine, trines are easy and we can sleep through them because the energy is just so comfortable. But if you take an action, then it's kind of like pushing something forward where there's no resistance and it just rolls on its own. So that is get something started, and then you can find opportunities that you can harvest. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is making a square to Saturn. That means action is necessary, and it does mean that when you take action, there's a risk involved. It is possible that you could go in and ask for a raise and hear a flat no. And so if you feel that your position is strong, then you could go forward on this. However, this energy is going to line up more favorably next year, so you may want to just wait a few weeks or months before you venture in and ask. So if you feel like you're up against the wall and you do need to do this, or if you are negotiating for a salary with a new job, absolutely, you want to go in there and try. It's a win-lose situation, so you're going to try for the win. But if you have the option to wait, you may want to wait. Okay, Capricorn, this full moon is lighting up your house of relationships, collaborations, partners, mentors, friends. This is all of the people who come into your life and who have that special place. And so you may be looking at, what the year has brought in the way of relationships of all kinds. And if you find that you haven't met that many people because you work at home or you have a very, limited schedule of seeing new people, maybe that's the thing to say, okay, well, now I have to go to the party. Now I have to go to the event. Now I have to go to the meetup groups so that I can expand my circle. There's also maybe a time where you are looking at existing relationships of all kinds and seeing what they have brought you and seeing if there's some changes you can make to make the relationship better. Now, when we look at Mercury and Mars, they are conjunct in your house of psychic ability and basically the hidden side of you. It is also your access to the energies of the universe. And so right now you may have a lot of energy. You may be bouncing off the walls. And so this can make you feel like you don't have a direction because basically the compass is spinning right now and you have all these different opportunities and no real focus on which way to go. And one of the things you may want to do is commit to something larger for the moment. And that is like maybe you're thinking about sewing on a button, but instead make a wedding dress, like really go for it. Or you're going to make some pasta. Well, why not make a whole dinner and then invite people over and make it an impromptu party? So think of some way to up the ante, to ask more of yourself during this time, because I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised at what you're able to accomplish. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a square to Saturn, and that energy is a little bit of fight or flight. And so when it comes to love relationships, maybe you just met someone, but you're nervous about moving forward. Maybe they're so great, or you're worried that they're not so great. Or that you realize that you're procrastinating on meeting new people because of past issues. So when you're doing the square, it's necessary for you to recognize, okay, I'm feeling stressed about this, and that's okay. I'm going to move forward anyway. Because this stress is just an alarm system that we have in our bodies. It's from ancient times where when the grass rustled by us, we didn't know if it was a friend or a lion. So in this particular case, we still don't know, but it's not going to, tear us to bits. It's just someone who may say no or someone who's not, available at the moment. So looking at the possibilities of what could happen, take a chance. That's what this energy is talking about. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, it's an entirely different story because the moon's making a lovely trine to Saturn. So the two of you are more in harmony, you're more in sync. You have opportunity to discuss things. You can discuss them in depth. You can learn more about each other. This is especially good if you're traveling. So you're both out of your comfort zone, then you are, basically relying on each other and strengthening the relationship. So you have good energy with existing love relationships. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money both from that Saturn, which is now moving forward, and Uranus, which continues to move backwards. And so this is a little bit like you're focused in two directions. If you find that you're too focused on the past, then you want to balance that out with some focus on the future. But if you are so focused on the future, like next year I'm going to do this, or when this is available, I'll do this. Maybe it's time to look back at the past and see if you've been waiting a very long time for something, or if there were things that you did in the past that you could be doing now. So this is more about looking at the overall path. Again, use that energy of it being the end of the year to say, what have I accomplished during this year? Looking at that from a sense of compassion, knowing that you did your best, and then say, where can I still improve? And that is to take the lessons from the past and apply them to the future. And that's going to help you make more money. Now, when it comes to money derived from business or from investments, the sun's making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus. That means there is some hurdle that you have to go over, and then the treasure is there. So there's something hard that you have to do. Maybe there's that the website has broken links or some other technical problem. Maybe there is a customer you have to talk to and who's very demanding, or you have to fire a customer, and that opens up opportunities. Maybe you have to raise your prices or make some adjustments in what you're offering. So there there is something you probably are procrastinating about it because it's a hurdle. But once you recognize what the hurdle is, you'll be able to sail over it and end up making more money than usual, especially over this next 2 weeks. So when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Saturn's making a semi-sextile to Pluto, and Mars is making an inconjunct to Uranus. So both of those aspects are not the most comfortable. They do say some sort of adjustments are needed. Either you have to make those adjustments or you have to ask the other person to make the adjustments, and that would be your supervisor. So you may want to wait because next year this energy will line up better. It is quite possible if you pursue a raise at this time, you're going to be asked to adjust by waiting until next year. So, but if you are negotiating for a higher salary because it's a new job, then definitely recognize that even though it's a little uncomfortable, it is worth it. And so make sure that you state your case for getting more money. Okay, Aquarius, you're doing this full moon, lighting up your house of daily routines, work, as well as health and well-being. And so, as you look back and do the assessment, this may be you looking at the things that you've been doing lately and seeing how they are affecting your health and well-being. Maybe you've started exercising, maybe you're eating more vegetables, maybe you are eating less, junk food or processed food, and this is having a positive effect. So this would help you reassure yourself that you're heading in the right direction. Or with exercise, maybe you're showing increased flexibility or increased strength. When it comes to your work or your daily routines, this may be assessing how different systems or processes that you've adopted are working. Or maybe you notice that you've slid back into some old manual processes and it's time to automate something. Now, when it comes to that Mercury-Mars connection, that's happening in your area of friendships, groups and organizations, as well as technology. And so this is about pushing yourself so that you can go join groups where you can see more people. And this is the perfect time of year when a lot of organizations have holiday parties and more people attend, and so you can meet more people in one go. Additionally, this is a time where you may be looking back and assessing your skills with technology. I know technology is moving so incredibly fast. It's a little mind-boggling, especially with the AI, all the different apps that are available and different things that it's doing, and it's changing things very rapidly. I do really believe that this is going to open up a lot of opportunities, but it does mean kind of getting a general view of what's going on about that. And, there are newsletters about it and there's videos on it where you can kind of get the highlights, and that would be important to do, to pick out the things that are going to really benefit you, so then you could drill down on those. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making an inconjunct to Uranus, which means that to meet someone new, you have to do something that maybe you don't really want to do, like all those social events that I was talking about. So, or maybe this means getting online or getting on a new platform online, which means you have to do a new profile, etc. But it says make an adjustment, and that's what helps you meet someone. So maybe poll your friends and say, what can I change about myself so I could meet somebody new? And I'm sure they will have some advice for you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the Sun's making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus. This means that there is something that you need to overcome to get something beneficial happening in your relationship. Now, the best scenario here is that you and your partner are overcoming something, like filling out a mortgage application or building a really complex piece of IKEA furniture. And as the two of you come together to do this project, you become closer. But it is also possible that this is something you need to overcome, a hurdle you need to do, and then you feel more calm when you're with your partner. And, that could be that maybe you're not happy in your job and you have to really think about a different vocation, but that could affect your income, etc. like that. But I think that if you really do want to feel closer to your partner, and who doesn't, look for something that you can do together. Something hard, something where you both don't feel like you're experts at. And then once you accomplish that thing, you're going to feel like you're a team. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Neptune as well as Jupiter, which is making an exact trine to the sun. And so that is that your identity is very important in how much money you're making. And so if you describe yourself as a person who spots money opportunities, looks for success, sees the job that needs to be done and does it, is willing to connect with people, of course, success is going to happen. But if your identity is, that you are afraid to talk to people, you don't like technology, you feel limited because of some external circumstances like upbringing or education or things like that, then you limit what it is that you could accomplish. So because this is a trine, this says that there's an easy connection between what you believe about yourself and the money you're making. So this is where you want to make any sort of corrections or adjustments you can. Because when it's a trine like this, it can happen so automatically we don't question it. Now, when it comes to money from business or investments, Mercury is making a square to Neptune, and this indicates that some action is needed. That is that you need to go in and look at your investments and see if they're allocated properly. Maybe there's some end of the year things that you need to do so you can mitigate taxes, or there are some business things that you need to do, maybe taking a physical inventory. So there's something you need to do, and you need to actively work on it so that you can make more money, especially now, but going forward. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, even though Jupiter's not making an aspect to Neptune, you have the Mercury-Mars conjunction in that house. So you have very good energy for making something happen. And so it's possible that you could plant the seed now to say, let's have a meeting in January. And that paves the way for a yes then. Or maybe it's just talking to your supervisor to say, what's the plan for the company and how am I going to fit in, or how can I maximize my career path with the changes the company is planning. So you have some good energy here. It's not so direct, so it may not happen immediately, but you could start the process by saying, look at what I've accomplished over this last year or the last couple of months, and how can I use this to leverage my way forward? Okay, Pisces, you're doing this full moon in your house of fun and romance and adventure and self-expression and creativity. It also rules your kids. And so because this is an energy of nurturing and taking care of, it may be that you're very focused on taking care of your kids. And that wouldn't just be a one-time thing. That would be a sign that you keep doing this. But it's necessary also to nurture your own fun and your own creativity and to look at that. Or if you are bringing romance into your love relationship, are you doing fun things together that cause you to say, wow, this was a great week because, we went dancing, or we tried a new restaurant, or, we played Twister on the carpet. So looking at what you can do that both nurtures others as well as yourself. Now, the Mercury-Mars conjunction is in your house of career and reputation and social standing. And so this is a time to be looking at what you do for a profession and say, where is this heading? Is this going to head to a place where I can feel growth and adventure and excitement? Or are you already boxed in, where you can't really progress, where there's no real path to go forward? And so because this is all about growth and learning something new, if your focus right now is just being in a job and being comfortable, then what's the side thing that you're doing? That's the excitement. Where are you learning there? It doesn't necessarily have to be your job. It could be your side business or something you do as a volunteer or a hobby that you really love, playing the guitar or doing pottery. So this is about where you're going to grow and where you have grown in the past and taking that and moving forward with it. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though the moon's not making an aspect to Neptune, the moon is lighting up that house of romance. So it's there, and you've got this very active top of your chart, so you're quite noticeable. So it's just a matter of kind of getting out there and meeting new people. If you keep going to the same places and meeting the same people, it's really tough. This is also about if the person that you really, really want is in the past and it feels like you're locked into that, it's very hard then to meet somebody in the future until you start to think that this is a huge world, 8 billion people. There's probably another person who's like that person, who has a lot of their qualities, or maybe even could be better, at least in the sense that they're free for a relationship. So think about that there are some real possibilities here. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's making a square to Neptune, and a square sometimes can lead to an argument. So you need to be quite aware that right now, you may be feeling very firm on something, and your partner feels the opposite, or at least different. And so before you launch into a feeling of being attacked, consider what their position is. Why are they wanting something different than you are? Because you've thought out what you wanted. Why are they not on board with that? Ask yourself some questions. Ask them some questions. You have an opportunity to work out something and get to a place where you can at least understand each other better. Even if it's that they love sports and you don't like sports, that doesn't mean you're going to change and start loving sports, but maybe you could just understand it from their perspective a little bit more. And so therefore you can give them the space to do that while you do have times where you come together more connected than ever. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mars, which is part of that Mercury-Mars conjunction right at the top of your chart. And what this is talking about is it is saying that you are looking for more money or more opportunities, but there is something you feel you need to know. And that might be an actual thing like, what are the laws, or how do you do such and such? How do I make posts? How do I build a website? How do I start a business? So you might be looking for the actual how-to information, and that means either checking online or going to people who you see as experts and asking them directly. This is your direct method of getting more money, is to figure out what it is you need to know and who knows that, and getting that information. That's what leads to more money in your pocket. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mars is making a semi-sextile to Venus, which means there's some small things that you have to clean up or do. And once you get those working, that money can flow. And so maybe it's like you don't know where the password went to your brokerage account, so you have to find that. Maybe there's some problems with your website, or you need to give employees different instructions, or it's small things though. Look for the small things. Those can lead to some big wins. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, even though Mars is not making an aspect with Saturn, that house is part of the full moon, so it is really lit up. And so if you are negotiating for a new job, absolutely ask for more money, and ask in a way that says, what do I need to know to ask for more money? How can you educate me on the way to ask for more money? Or go online and look for different ways of asking for a raise. if you are looking to get a raise in your existing job, then understand that someone may be traveling and so everything gets bumped to next year, but you can still say, I'm interested in talking about this. I'm interested in moving up in this company and being more of a contributor in this company, and so tell me what I can do so I can make more money and share in the profits. This is all possible now, even though the manifestation of it may not come until January. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and check out my video course, Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart. There is a link in the description. I'll see you in the next video.